Good morning. Welcome to the porch. Did you guys see that State of the Union address the other night? I'd like to talk about that a little bit. There's several things that happened in there that we should really think about and talk about. So let's change the camera out here and get a different angle on it. And let's just visit a minute. What do you guys think? I'll tell you guys, it's a beautiful day out here, and I thought I'd get a little bit of range time, but I do that pretty near every day, at least once a day, shoot a few rounds. I enjoy it, and it keeps me kind of tuned in on how to use my gun and all those types of things. But anyway, wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about that State of the Union speech that Trump gave the other night, and I want to talk about some of the things that happened and maybe hopefully get us to thinking a little bit about some of the people that are representing us as U.S. citizens. Now, I'm going to start out with Maxine Waters. She wasn't there. She'd already told everybody she wasn't going to be there. She made a statement. She said, uh, he'll never see my face again. I'm just going to say it. What exactly is the downside of that? Okay, let me move on. Then, within probably just a few seconds of the thing, you have Al Green standing there holding a big sign up. And I'm not going to say what it said. It's really not worth it. You guys can go watch the State of the Union to see that. But when I think of what he was doing there, I think of a scriptural reference that I want to go to. And I'm not going to give you the address because I'm not a Bible scholar, but I am going to talk about that a little bit. It says, and it's over in Ecclesiastes somewhere, it says, there's a time and a place for everything. And this is true. And if you have wisdom, you kind of understand the time and place. And of course, just within a few seconds, they had to gather him up and kick him out of the meeting. Now, I want to quickly say this, because he seemed to have been more centered on getting people's attention pointed toward him than toward the issues that we face in the nation and the things that we need to get straight, and respecting tradition. The State of the Union is a tradition. You may not agree with people, but it's a tradition, and you need to respect that American tradition. I think at one time, years ago, Obama got up to make a speech, and one of the Republicans got up and started, if I remember right, screaming at him, calling him a liar. That was out of line then, and it's out of line today. It doesn't matter who you are, what party you are, that's out of line. Now, get back to Mr. Green. Seemed to be wanting to draw attention to him. He didn't have the wisdom to understand there was time and a place for these things, so they kicked him out. Now, let's talk about what that means to his constituents. Here's what that means. He wasn't in there to represent them. It was more important for him to have his say than it was to represent the people he's supposed to be representing. So now he's kicked out, and Trump did honor several good people in there during that speech. And people called it theater, and I'm not going to go there right now, but we may hear in a few minutes. But he didn't get the opportunity to honor those American soldiers that paid the price so that he could get up and act foolish. And so that's disrespectful on his part not to honor those men and women. And so he kicked out there. So far as I'm concerned, Mr. Green didn't do his job. Now, I'm going to talk about some negative stuff here. We've started out there, but we're going to try to end up on a good note. So you guys stay with me. And then you had Rashid Tlaib, is that her name? Anyway, she's sitting there with this big old pin on her shirt saying F eyes. Where's the moral decency? She was wearing that, kids walking around, decent folk walking around, and this is her ideal of the message that she wants to put out. And I gotta just tell you something, guys. I'm gonna say it the way it is. That's just retarded. Now, back in my day, and that was the good old days, and sometimes we need to go back there, but if you did something like that, they'd kick you out of a restaurant, they'd kick you out of a public place, they'd kick you out of school, and most folks would kick you out of their house. I would have. And she came to my door today and had that on her and say, "Hey, I want to come in and talk to you a few minutes." I said, "You go out to your car and you take that off. You need to really throw it in the trash, but you ain't coming in my house with that on there." That's what I'd say to her. And not that she's got a lot I want to hear anyway, but I'd be respectful enough that if she'd take that off, I would listen to her. So you got her, and she's disrespecting people by doing that. Now, this is not going to hurt ICE. This is not going to hurt ICE. And that tells me that her caliber of thinking is not very high, very simply because she thinks something as silly as that's going to stop ICE from doing their job. Well, it's not, and it just shows how silly she is. Okay, let's go to Ilhan Omar, sitting there screaming to the top of her lungs with her eyes bugged out, all kinds of just silly things, you know. And I heard some of what she said. I'm not going to give that thing credit enough to even repeat that garbage. Uh, but these people think different than the American people. They think with an attitude that comes from the culture that they come out of, and it's not an American culture. And they've been put in very high places. They've infiltrated those places, and I'm using that word infiltrated on purpose. They've infiltrated those high positions, and this is not helping our country any. We really need to think about this. We really need to think about what we let in. And I know they're voted in, but we need to think about these things. Now, when I say I know they're voted in, that should worry people too, right there, that they can get voted in. But I'm going to stop there. I'm going to try to get off the negative part of this, and I'm going to stop that part of it by saying, people, this is nonsense. These are grown people, and they're acting like children, spoiled children, children with very little uh, moral raising. Okay, we're going to stop right there. Let's go to some good things. Now, I, we celebrated two older gentlemen, one of them at 99 years old and one of them at 100 years old, and talked about what those guys did in their military careers. And I'll tell you, that touched and warmed my heart to hear that we would honor those guys. And they call it theater. It's not theater; it's called honor, and that's a good place to honor people in that setting, where the whole world's watching. We honored those men, and we should have. And I'm very grateful for them. Those men had courage. Golly, you know something else? These people that are getting up and saying these ugly things and being unruly and rebellious, they can do that because those men paid the price so that they could, okay? Now, I got to watch out. I'm going to get back off on the negative stuff again. And then one that really touched me is the helicopter pilot. Man, if anybody thinks our young men and women are still not good today and golden, just because you listen to all these spoiled, rotten college students and stuff screaming about what they don't have and what they think you ought to be doing, we forget sometimes that there's men and women like that helicopter pilot that get shot all to pieces and still fly that helicopter until they pass out before they turn it over to the other pilot, which was my understanding also wounded. Man, I'll tell you, that touches my heart and it gives me encouragement, because what I see there is I see that the young generation is not all bad, but we still have Americans. We still have men and women of courage. And that encourages me to see that. It warms my heart, makes me feel good. And those are some things we should look at. Now, Trump did some things. He honored the little Ukrainian girl and her mother. Again, I can't think of her name right now, but he honored them. And from my understanding, I didn't get to see, or didn't see this part of it, or wasn't paying attention. But anyway, they said the Democrats didn't even get up to honor this woman. If this is true, here's where I'm at on that. What is wrong with you people? Can you not lay aside your hatred for one man long enough to honor a woman that I could tell by looking at her. It's been months ago since this happened, and she's still brokenhearted about her daughter. And I tell you what, my heart goes out to her. I'm brokenhearted about her daughter. Did a video on that. I was angry when I did that video, angry that this guy was out and in public and able to hurt this poor young lady. Anyway, I don't want to get too far on that because I get angry again. But he honored the hockey team. He honored honored a little girl there. I don't remember who all he honored just off the top of my head now, but I watched the whole thing all the way through. And to me, it would have been a really positive speech had we not had the hatred and discontent that we were seeing out of the Democrat Party. Now, you may say, well, Paul, are you a Republican? No, I'm an American. And first and foremost, I am a Christian, born again by the blood of Jesus Christ. And I look at a book that's called the Holy Bible, and that book tells me how to act. And I want to tell you something. That book has scripture, and it says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Now look here, Mr. Green was not being a peacemaker. Ilhan Omar was not being a peacemaker. There were several in there that weren't being peacemakers. So I got to ask you something. Does that fall under the children of God? No, it doesn't. Honoring people for the prices that they've paid for the freedom of our country, that's an honorable thing to do. That's a decent thing to do. And if you want to downplay the price that these people made by calling that theater, shame on you. Okay. Well, it's pretty hard to stay positive on this thing, and I don't think I did a really good job of that, but I think I said what a lot of people are thinking. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and close this video up with some important things. If you're a Christian, be in prayer. If you have an opportunity to stand up for what's right, do that every chance you get. Now, I'm going to shift gears here just a little bit because it's a part of making videos, part of some things we have to do. If you get anything out of these videos, let me ask you to do this for us. Now, we're just over 800 subscribers, and I'd like to see us reach 1,000 within the next 2 or 3 months. If you would subscribe, that would help us. And here's some other things that help us. If you share, that would help us. If you comment, again, those things will help us. And let's see, it seems to me like there's something else there. Anyway, that's enough for that. But you guys help us out by doing those things, if you will. And we'd appreciate that. Now, here's the thing, guys. It's up to us. There's nobody on the outside looking in. We on the inside are the people that change the situations that we live in. Let's do better. Now, I will say this quickly, I am not in hatred of any of these people I talked about tonight. I'm just simply pointing out what I believe to be the facts and the truth. So we here at the Porch love you. We hope you got something out of this. May God bless and prosper you. Have a good day.